Johnny Cash, and this is 1982. So he's getting older, of course, but he's not He's not completely, his voice is not completely shaky like it was towards the end of his life. No, I totally respect the man. He's a big influence in my own musical career. Some of my first records, a lot of them actually were Johnny Cash records, and I always liked his music. Yeah, it was since I was a little kid, but it was hard. Today it still is hard for me to listen to him when he's singing. Like 2, 3, 5 years before he died, because his voice is weak, it's shaky, and to me it sounds like he must be recording one line at a time, because it's really weak. I admire that. Yeah, I do admire that, but I'm used to the young Johnny Cash, and I don't mean to be vain or superficial, but that's what I grew up with. That's what left the impression on me. Yeah, so I like watching older concerts of him. And part of the show, he brought up his wife, June Carter, June Carter Cash, and they sang a song called "What Did We Do Right?" Yeah, and it's written by what's his name? He's kind of a folk rock singer, Jim Messina, I think it is. I think it's Jim Messina. He used to be in a duo with Kenny Loggins in the 70s called Loggins and Messina, and they had some really cool hits back then, yeah, in 1974, 1975, and around that time period. And anyway, the song, they explained it, yeah. They didn't write the song, but they explained it, and he said stuff like, there's so many things going on this world. This is 1982, mind you. This is like what, 32 years ago, and he was saying, this modern world is going so fast. He said that people are doing things, fast, and maybe that's not right. Maybe it's normal for today. He said, so how did he say this? But June and I. Oh no, she was talking. She said, Johnny and I. She said, we went through a lot of things in our lives. She said we had a lot of good times and we had a lot of rough times, but we came through it together, and we're still here. She said. And so when we heard this song, this just fit us. She said it was like, what did we do right? They're married to each other for so many years, yeah. And so the question was, what did we do right? Because a lot of times when people are doing their best in life, and then they're trying their best to live a healthy life. They're trying their best to do good things and help other people, and suddenly maybe they get cancer. Maybe they get in a car wreck, or maybe they lose somebody, and they ask their God, what did we do wrong? What did I do wrong? Yeah, I did everything that you wanted me to do, and I did it willingly. But what did I do wrong to deserve this? And that is, that is a dualistic situation, which I'll get into a little bit later. But see, that's the common thing in the Western world, is that people, they want to avoid difficulties. They don't want bad things to happen to them, because they don't want to feel bad. They don't want to feel sad. They don't want to be angry. They don't want to be scared. They're afraid of these feelings, and that's understandable. So they think that by doing only good things, that nothing bad will go wrong. Yeah, and so when something devastating does happen out of the blue, that's the first thing they say. They get on there, they look up, and they say, "What did I do wrong?" Yeah, and that's a dualistic situation. Yeah, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But this song is playing on that. The song title, instead of saying "What did I do wrong," is "What did I do right?" Yeah, or in this case, what did we do right? Yeah, because this is talking about the relationship, the marriage. It's two people. So, and I really like I really like the way she explained it. And these are, I know they're religious people, but I know June is kind of exceptional. I think she believes in something more. That it wasn't just heaven, it wasn't just God, it was something more. Yeah, and I think this is what really separated her from others in that world. So when she was saying, I was reading between the lines is what I was doing, and she was saying, that they've gone through, like she said, really good times, but they've gone through some shit. Yeah. Some of you may have seen that movie, which some of that movie's correct. That Walk the Line. Some of it's not correct. That's just the fact. Yeah. Like the way they portray Johnny Cash's first wife as a mad woman. She wasn't really that way. He was kind of a womanizer, yeah, in the beginning, and so that movie is really incorrect in those kind of things. That's not I don't care about that part though, yeah. But it does show the part where he was addicted to drugs, and he was a very mean man, yeah, and she will tell you about that. Yeah, she will talk about Johnny wasn't always this super gentle guy. Excuse me, that he is today. That there was a time when he was on the other side, where he was not gentle. He was not a nice guy. And but excuse me, she never let him push her around. Yeah. And it was like, what I'm trying to focus on here is they understood what difficulties were. They understood that, and they talked to each other, and they thought about it to themselves. Is this worth it? Yeah, is this worth it to continue? Should we just end this and go our separate ways? Or should we try to learn from this and try to make the best of it? What should we do? Yeah? And both of them, through patience and wanting this to let's just see what's around the corner. Yeah, let's see what's around the corner. But while we're going around that corner, let's discuss this problem. Let's see what we can do. Because whatever decision we make, that decision is going to take us around the corner, and we'll see what's there. Shall we do that? And the other one was like, yeah, I want to do that with you. Yeah. So this is what she means. Through we've been through some good times, we've been through some hard times, and we just hung in there. In other words, they took it experience by experience. Yeah, they took it one step at a time. and were able to use their knowledge that they gained from these difficulties. They became wise. Their love for each other increased. Yeah, and through every difficulty that they went through, they did it together, and they were able to learn, become wise, become knowledgeable, so they could help others. And just say, you have to think about this. You're going through difficulty. You got choices here. You can say fuck it and run away from it. I don't think June would say fuck it though, yeah. She might say dang it. You can let it go and run away from it, yeah, and try to hide from it. But it's never gonna be gone. It'll always be there. No matter what you do, it's always gonna be there until you decide to face it. But that's up to you. Nobody says that you have to face it, but the situation is that it's gonna bother you for the rest of your life, no matter what you do. This is your choice. Face it now and get it over with, or run away. Or think about it, and then make your decision. But it all boils down to, what do you want for you? Yeah? Do you do that within your own life? When things happen to you in your own life, yeah, that you these are, you it's up to you, yeah. When in Lakota Star Knowledge, a difficulty is it has emotions, yeah, and they're painful, they're hard, they're anger, they're fear, and but we have a decision to make. In Lakota Star Knowledge, the understanding and the belief is that when you face it and learn from it, yeah, you take a deep breath and you face it and you start learning from it, examining it from all perspectives that you can, and then you say to yourself, okay, how can I make the best of this situation? And as soon as you start thinking like that, those emotions start going. They leave. And here comes peace. Here comes knowledge. Here comes wisdom. Here comes understanding. These are the cures. These are the solutions. Yeah? And those are blessings. So you've done the work to transform it into a blessing by doing this. And now you can use that to help others. See, this is how you fulfill your calling as a blessing. And you live like this. Now, the best way to do this is to take care of yourself, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, as much as you can. And you will, you're going to come to a process where you're going to start to face the things from your past that were difficult, that you still are not at peace with. Yeah. So you do that, and once you accomplish that, then you're in the present moment more than you ever were before. And this is the best place to be, to solve difficulties, to learn from them, to make the best out of them, to transform them into blessings. And it is also the best place to influence your future, because the future is based on your current thought patterns. So the more peace you have in your life, the more at peace you are with your past, the healthier your future is going to be. That's where you have some control. That's where you have some influence over your future. So see, there's nothing but incentives to living this way. This is the way of the ancestors. This is their living in the here and now, and soon you learn that this is actually living with nature, and then you learn that a lot of difficulties when they come, sometimes yes, it's because of something you did, or because of something somebody else did, whether you know them or not, or sometimes it just happens out of the blue, just out of the blue, no explanation, it just happens. But blessings happen the same way too. Sometimes blessings come to you just out of the blue. You didn't even do anything. It just happened. That's nature. And when you learn that, and accept that, the sooner that you accept that, the more at peace you will be. But you don't worry about that, if that's coming or not, because you don't know. And why waste time on thinking about things you don't know? See, this way of life is focusing on the present moment. It's focusing on enjoying what you have right now in your life. It's about enjoying your life as it is happening right now. Whether you're eating a bag of Cheetos or eating a egg and fried chopped meat sandwich, or eating a potted egg sandwich and bologna. Hey. Somebody is getting hungry here. I really wish they had bologna over here. They don't have that here, and that's funny because Germany's up. White Germans really like pork, and I don't understand why I can't find a decent bologna. Or hot dog. That's another thing. They don't even have good hot dogs over here. The best hot dogs I've had in Europe were when I was in London. But in Germany, no hot dogs here. Even IKEA, the hot dogs are awful. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying is that excuse me, enjoying the present moment. Yeah, that this is what it's about. And don't worry about the difficulties. Yeah, they'll come when they come. But it's the same. You always have to remember that life is just not about difficulties. It's also about blessings. So sometimes good things are going to happen too, unexplainable. Yeah, out of the blue. That's going to happen too. So both things happen. So you treat them accordingly as they come to you. Yeah. So this is in this way the one really important thing you learn. I kind of already said it. Is that you learn that nature just is. Yeah. It just is. And when you accept that, you're better off, yeah. You have less stress in your life. You have you're more open to things, and when you're in the present moment, you're going to excuse me, sorry about that. You're going to see things. You're going to see more of reality than you did before. So you will see things that need to be done, things that you can enjoy, and simple things that you took for granted suddenly mean great things. Like suddenly looking over to the west and seeing the sunset, and that blows you away. For some reason, it just makes you all emotional. See, things like that will happen. Yeah, and that's because you're in the present moment. You're living in the here and now. So you just enjoy it as it's happening. Excuse me, and that's what you learn from nature. Yeah, that this is the way it is. And then when you realize that this is how things can be, when things go wrong, you lose that tendency to say, what did I do wrong? because you're learning that sometimes things just go wrong, and there is no explanation. You're not cursed, yeah. You're not being punished for something you did in a past life, because that's not what it's about. Yeah. When a lifetime is finished, that's it. It's over. It's done. Yeah. And this is another topic, but that part is about the energy inside of you that is developing, and how much you've developed in this lifetime increases that intensity of that energy inside of you. And in Lakota Star Knowledge, we do have a reincarnation belief system, which the whole purpose is that, see, there are two energy lights inside of you, and one of them is at its what do you call it? It's I'll just say it's a bright intensity. That's all I'll say. And the second light is you. That's you, your part, and that's dimmer. That intensity is lighter. So as you live each lifetime, this intensity gets brighter until one day it matches the first one. And when that time happens, then there's another existence that you go to. This is not heaven. This is not hell. This is something completely different. Yeah. So that's why I said that we don't believe in fate, and we don't believe that that if things go wrong for you in this lifetime, it's not because of you being punished for something you did in the past life. That's not possible. That violates natural law. Yeah, because what happens in this lifetime concerns your physical body. And once your physical body is done, then this is done too. That experience is done. It's over. And it has no influence over anything else but this one. So this is why we don't believe in these, oh, they did that, so now they're cursed for 7 generations. See, we don't have that concept. That's fatalistic. And that is dooming. Sending people to doom, yeah? And why would you do that, yeah? So anyway, this is the way that works, yeah? This is the Lakota Star Knowledge way of looking at it. Now that's just a really fast overview. I didn't mean to go in that direction, but that explains why we don't believe in being cursed from previous lifetimes. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes difficulties happen. They just do, out of the blue. And you have to make the best of it. Yeah? But believe me, it's going to lead you to blessings. I guarantee that. That is natural law. This is what June Carter was referring to when she said, yes, we've been through good times, but there was also some very, very, very difficult times. And the deciding factor was, what is the intention of each person in this marriage? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? How should we solve this? Do you want to solve this together, or should we just let this go and go our separate way? And sometimes one partner will give up. Yeah? See, in Lakota Star Knowledge, you just heard me explain how to achieve peace in your life and to maintain that by, learning from difficulties and enjoying your blessings. And this includes communicating in a healthy way. See, you have 4 parts to yourself: your physical body, your mind, and your soul. and your emotional self. These four parts are connected to each other. Think of a medicine wheel, and this shows that the four parts are connected to each other. And just imagine each part of the medicine wheel representing one of these parts: body, mind, soul, and the emotional self. They connect in the center. This is where you have also a piece of the Grandmother Earth dwelling there. This is part of her soul. This allows you to live on the earth. When you live a healthy life, and you're doing your best to take care of these four parts, you will be communicating from your sacred center, meaning you will be communicating as a human being and not as a Lakota, not as a white guy, not as a woman, not as a man. You'll be communicating as a human. Yeah? I mean, of course, there are going to be some things where you will be communicating as a man and you will be communicating as a woman. That's true. But overall, you're communicating as a human when you communicate from your sacred center. That's the place to be. That is where our reality begins. Again, well, I don't think I said it yet, so I shouldn't say it again. Lakota Star Knowledge teaches that reality begins within, and for each of us, this is in the sacred center. So that's where the flow begins. So it's best to do this, to take care of yourself in these four ways, the four parts of the self, so that you communicate from that sacred center, that you communicate in a healthy way. And when people communicate to you in whatever way, that you'll be able to deal with it effectively in a healthy way. And people are going to feel that. They're going to be influenced by that. And this is where you are really and truly being you. You are existing, you are living, you are a blessing when you communicate like this. Because others are going to be influenced by that. Excuse me. And so this is the foundation of living in these star knowledge concepts, these Lakota star knowledge concepts, because the universe begins from within. So if you can understand the within, then you can understand the without, which means that which is around you. Do you see? So it's important to settle things inside of yourself, to have that peace inside of yourself, so your inner universe comes to peace, so that you'll be at peace with things around you. This is how that works. It starts within. So it's not found in a book. It's not found in a stone or a pipe or a necklace or a feather or whatever. It's found inside of you, because reality begins within you. Yeah. So, excuse me. So this is the foundation to that, living in that way. So when you live this way, this is going to help you with difficulties, to learn from them and to make the best out of them and everything that I said earlier. And then you see value in difficulty. You don't label it as, oh, that's a bad thing. You learn that the difficult emotions leave when you start learning from these things. That you don't always feel angry. You don't always feel scared. You don't always feel sad. You learn that because it's happening to you. You see the emotions leaving you. You feel those emotions leaving you as peace comes into your life. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah? So, when you live this way, um, you see this. This is what I mean. You see the purpose of difficulty, and that it's not a curse. It's not a punishment. Yeah, it's not anybody wishing harm on you. Yeah, because that violates natural law to think like that. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's your responsibility to deal with it. But when you start questioning and saying, "What did I do wrong?" or "Who did this to me?" Do you think I'm being cursed from things I did in a past life? This is irresponsibility because you're looking for an excuse to blame somebody and you don't deal with it. So that emotional weight burdens you down until you do. And the more you live like that, the less of reality you see and comprehend till you become sick, weak-minded, physically sick, mentally sick, emotionally sick. See what I mean? So it's better if we were to be more responsible for our actions and for what happens to us. Excuse me, sorry about that. It's and we learn from that. We become healthier from that. We gain wisdom from that. And we can use that to help others because we're designed to help and we're designed to ask for help. We have to do both. We have to give and we have to receive. We have to do both. Our lungs teach us that. When you think it's better to give, that's like exhaling all the time. Try it. See how long you last. You die that way. If all you're going to do is give, you're going to turn into a codependent. Yeah? You're going to turn into a victim, and you're going to lose sight of reality, and you're going to attract an abuser, because this is unhealthy. Yeah? That's codependency. So we have to receive too. We can't just give. And neither one is better than the other. Now think about that. If you believe it's better to give, then what does that say about those who are receiving? It says that they're not as good as you. That's separation of one party trying to be above the other. And when that happens, then we're coming up with something called duality. Yeah? Lakota Star Knowledge says that there's at least 3 perspectives to everything. And it's about, what can I learn from them? Or maybe it's something to enjoy. Or maybe it's something that is just there. Doesn't have to mean anything. It's just there. But you can still learn. Huh? But how will you know? Unless you take the time to find out. See, this is why it's important to in living this peaceful way, that part of that process includes getting to know you, getting to know yourself, to come to peace with yourself, with the past. So when you do that to yourself, naturally you're going to do that to everything you encounter for the first time. You take the time to check it out. Because you're not separating things into good and bad. You're seeing things like, what can I learn from this? Or maybe it can learn from me. Or maybe this is something to enjoy. You take the time to check it out. You don't pass a judgment. This is Lakota Star Knowledge. Yeah? Now, what some people do, there's several ways this happens. One way is that they look at a situation and they see the components, but they only choose one and they say, this is the good one. I don't like the rest. That's trash. That's bad. That stays over there. And if you don't agree with me, then you're the enemy. I will prove that you're wrong. And if you still don't join me, then I must destroy you. This is duality. Duality produces ideologies that say, if you don't believe this, then you're going to burn in all hellfire for eternity. That's religion. The only way to happiness is this way. Dogma. Yeah? That is dogma. Or, well, I'm conducting a experiment on this situation, and I'm gonna do it 1,000 times. And if the majority of the times it doesn't work out, that means it doesn't exist. That's science. It's another duality. Yeah. Then we have, excuse me. Okay, see, this is the thing that's wrong with your culture. If you Navajos were more like us Lakota people, you would be more happier. See, now we're getting ethnocentric, and that creates tension too. It's putting one group above the other. Another way is saying, I know what's right for you because I'm smarter than you. Just do what I say and everything will go all right. That's paternalism. And then we have out and out racism when people look at each other and only look at the surface. They don't take the time to get to know somebody. They see somebody and they say, I don't like your skin color. You guys are bad. You guys are no good. It even comes down to gender. I don't like you women's. So you go over there. Gee, what a bad thing to say. So you have to take the time to know, is it a good woman or a bad woman? You see what I mean? You take the time to check things out instead of just going on the surface, the superficial. And that's racism and sexism. This is all duality. That comes from only accepting one perspective of at least three. Every situation in life has at least three components. And what dualistic people do is they only accept one and reject the rest. On Lakota Star Knowledge, we say, what can I learn from this? See? Lakota Star Knowledge people don't judge. They look at it and say, what can we learn? Maybe this can learn from me. And maybe it's something to enjoy. Maybe this is just affirmation. I'm going to find out. If you don't know it already. Because there's sometimes we experience things several times, so we already know. Yeah, but what I'm talking about is when you experience something for the first time. That you take the time. So you see, in this Lakota Star Knowledge, people don't question a God when something goes wrong out of the blue, when they're living a healthy life. Dualistic people question God. They believe in a God because they look for peace outside of themselves, and they create belief systems to emulate that peace, or I should say to imitate that peace. Or the better word is mimic. Yeah? They create ideas, ideologies, religions to mimic what they think peace is, perfection. Yeah? and then saying, "Hey, this is the correct way. If you don't accept this, you're going to burn in hell." They use fear tactics to get you to get in there. In duality, you stay in an emotion. Yeah, that they'll say, they'll find out somebody you love that's dead, and then they'll say that person is in heaven or whatever, and then they'll say, "Wouldn't you want to be there forever with your best friend or your puppy or whatever?" Well, you can, because they've already accepted the gospel. We are the true Church of Jesus Christ, and so if you accept it here on earth, then you'll see them right when you die. See, they're using that emotional. They're using that emotional appeal. Yeah, they're appealing to your emotions to get you to join them. Others will use hate. Look at what the Americans did to our grandfathers. Look at what the Americans did to, whatever. So we must torture them. So those groups get you to hate and to stay in hatred. And that's terrorism. It's the American Indian movement. That's Al Qaeda. That's ISIS, or that new one, Khorasan, I think it's called. Yeah, these all focus on hate. The Ku Klux Klan, the Indians who say, us full bloods, blah 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 blah. That's also hate. That's duality. That's just looking at the surface. Yeah. Reality begins in the mind, not the body. Yeah. So it's how you think. That decides everything. So, in Lakota Star knowledge, difficulties are not seen as a bad thing. They're seen as another way to achieve blessings, to help others. Yeah? In duality, now you can, after what I just said, maybe now you can understand why in dualistic people they try to avoid these emotions by creating something that's man-made to stay in the desirable emotion. For example, religion creating its ideas to hope for what do you call it? Never-ending eternal happiness. You see what I mean? It's trying to get you to one emotion. When you try to do that, try to be happy all the time, try to, what some people say, think positive all the time, that's going to develop into addictive thought processes, and that's going to turn you into an abuser. And in some cases, a victim too. This is duality. It's addiction. It's abuse. And the more you force yourself to stay in that emotion, whatever that is, the more or the less of reality that you see. You become more thick-headed as time goes on. You cannot comprehend reality anymore. You cannot comprehend healthy ideas. That's why it's hard to talk to people like that, because it just doesn't get through their head because they're so dualistic. And Indians are this way too. They're really racist today. Not everybody, but there's a lot of Indian racists out there. And some people say, yeah, but it's because what the white man did to us. But you know what? That's like trying to cure the common cold with the HIV virus. That's not going to work. Answering racism with racism, that just makes it exponentially worse. And that violates this Lakota concept of mitakwe oyasin, that everything is related, that everything inside of us is related to each other. But if we are hating others, that means we're not nurturing our inner world. So we're becoming physically sick the more that we're becoming racist. The more that you talk about the white man did this and did that, the sicker you're becoming. You're poisoning yourself. And you're dishonoring, disrespecting those around you. And you're dishonoring the earth, that grandmother earth piece that's inside of your sacred center. You're going away from that. You're dishonoring that. You're turning your back against her. It doesn't matter how many ceremonies you do. It doesn't matter if you speak Lakota or not. But as long as you have hatred in your heart for people who are a different skin color, you're rejecting your grandmother earth. And she made it possible for you to live here. You owe everything to her. And yet you do this to her. You're just as bad as the oil companies and all these other companies that are polluting the water, the air, and the ground, and misusing the fire. You're just as bad as that. It's the same energy. It's unhealthy. So, you see how it's important, yeah, to communicate from your sacred center, so that you will live a healthy life, be a blessing to others, share your knowledge and wisdom with others, regardless of skin color. Because you know what? The same things, all people on this earth, we laugh and cry and get angry and get scared at the same kind of things. All our babies speak the same language. We all need earth, wind, fire, and water to live. We all bleed red. In fact, even that plants and animals, most of the plants and animals bleed red too. Even our grandmother earth has red blood. This is the lava. It's not the water. It's not the oil. It's the lava. That is her blood. This is why red represents life. Red does not represent Indians. Red represents life. I saw a picture of 4 hands holding each other's wrists in a square, and they were trying to use the 4 colors of the medicine wheel to represent the 4 races, and I noticed that the red one had to be painted red, and the yellow one had to be painted yellow. Because there is no such thing. Yeah, there is no such thing as red people unless you're sunburned. Yeah, and the only yellow people I know are people who have hepatitis, or the Simpsons, or people who have liver disease, and something goes deadly wrong, they turn yellow. That's the only yellow people I've ever seen in my life. I live in the big city of Berlin. There's many cultures that live here. When I was learning how to speak German, my class had Japanese students, Korean students, Chinese students. A girl from Malaysia was there. These are all Asian people, and not one of them had yellow skin. Yeah. And in Lakota Star Knowledge, it doesn't say anywhere that Indians are red. Lakota Star Knowledge doesn't even use the word Lakota. It says Ikche Oyate. The stories are called Ehani. They're not even called Lakota. I just use that word Lakota so people will know what it is or where it comes from. But they're called Ehani. Yeah? And when it says Ikche Oyate, this is talking about humans. It's not just talking about Indians alone. And it says that humans appeared in 5 areas around the same time. And they didn't have skin color. Skin color comes much later when people live in a certain location, and that if that location is close to the sun, then their skin gets darker. The people migrate to the north and stay there for millions of years, their skin got lighter. And their eye color and hair color also adapted during this process. That skin color that you see today, this is not the way we looked when we started. That's all superficial. That's all on the surface. And Lakota Star Knowledge says you communicate from within. So you don't communicate as a Lakota, as I said earlier. You communicate as a human from your sacred center. And to do that, you have to live these concepts. And that part of that is about learning from difficulties and finding value in that. So the goal is not to be happy. Happiness is part of a emotion. That's an emotion. That's part of a learning experience. Once you learn from something, yeah, and it's also part of a blessing experience. So it's okay to enjoy. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be scared. Just don't stay there. Just don't force yourself to try to stay there. Because then you become dualistic. Then you start losing a sense of reality. Yeah? And you do this because the emotions are going to keep coming back. You're going to be happy again. Don't worry. If you're going through a difficult time right now, don't worry. Just do what you're supposed to do. Learn from this. Make the best of this. You will be happy again. I guarantee it. These emotions keep coming around over and over and over. So why force yourself to stay in one? Because when you force yourself to stay in one, you miss lessons. You miss blessings. You're denying yourself blessings when you try to stay in an emotion. And with dualistic people, when they try to force themselves to stay in an emotion, like I said, this develops addictive thinking, and this is where abusers and victims are created. And they do not develop emotionally because they're trapped in it. They trap themselves in the emotion, and they cannot develop emotionally. As a result, they cannot develop spiritually either. Those two go hand in hand. And if you cannot develop spiritually, you cannot develop mentally. And you will become physically sick. Remember, all four parts of the self are connected. This is the reason why. Body, mind, heart, soul. So when you're living your life in this way, learning from difficulties, enjoying your blessings, you're really living. You are a blessing, and you will attract someone like you. That brings the next Lakota Star Knowledge concept. Like attracts like. You are what you attract. If you want a healthy relationship, you have to be it. Meaning, you have to have a healthy relationship with yourself first. And that's what this Lakota Star Knowledge is all about. Understanding, learning, loving the universe that's inside of you. Then you will attract somebody who also learns from difficulties, who also enjoys blessings, who also communicates from their sacred center too. And friendships too. Now, a relationship and a friendship, this is an extension of each person's identity. So in Lakota Star Knowledge, we don't say, I need somebody to complete me. I'm looking for my better half. We don't say that. No, you're already complete. And you're going to attract somebody who's also complete. So that means when you form a friendship or a relationship, that friendship and relationship is actually an extension of each partner's or each friend's own individual identity. And that's wonderful. And that also means that difficulties and blessings will also happen to that friendship and relationship too. So when you know this in your own life, when you know that difficulties serve a purpose, that They are not bad, that they are learning experiences, that they are blessings waiting to happen. So when you face them and learn from them and make the most of them, those blessings are running to you. They're running to you. They want to get to you as fast as possible and hug you and take you in their arms and say, thank you for having me in your life. That's beautiful. And when you know that and feel that in your own life, then when you're with somebody, whether it's a friendship or a relationship, and a difficulty comes to that, both of you know this. And both of you decide, are we going to learn from this? Are we going to make the best of this so that our love for each other has a chance to increase exponentially? Or is this something that separates us? That's up to each partner to decide. Sometimes it is difficult when one can't do it. Now, I'm talking about healthy relationships. I'm not talking about abusive ones, okay? I'm not talking about unhealthy. I'm talking about healthy relationships. When a difficulty comes, sometimes one person will falter, and that it truly is sad to see that happen. And then it's over. And the other one is hurt more because they were willing, the other one was willing to go the extra mile, to see what's around the corner, what is around the corner of this difficulty that will have to, that you know, once we come around that corner, our love for each other will increase exponentially. That way we can comprehend that blessing that's waiting for us around the corner. When one person knows that and the other one doesn't want to know that, that really is sad and heartbreaking. Now, do you understand what I mean when I said, I should say, when June Carter Cash said, we've gone through some difficult times, but here we are. We're still together. What did we do right? Now do you understand? They both decided when these great difficulties came into their lives, each one decided, I want to go through this with you. I want to weather the storm with you because I love you. And I enjoy this journey through life with you. So I want to continue with you. Let's solve this together. Let's make the most of this together. I have to admire that when couples have the patience to go through these things together willingly. Not for the other one, but willingly. For themselves and for the relationship, for the marriage. I really admire that. And that's what this couple was all about. Yeah, June Carter and Johnny Cash. That's what she said. What did we do right? Yeah. Because that song, I mean, that message was 1982. Yeah, that was 32 years ago. And today, the world is, the modern, civilized Western world is spinning even faster than it did than it did then. Yeah. And so now, today, you have couples splitting up at an alarming rate. And this is to me, this is showing several things. Um, One is that in some cases it's going too fast to make it. It's not possible to hang in there with one person, and that's sad. Um, Another one is that people do not develop emotionally in these times. We're much, much less developed than we were 32 years ago. Like, I look at my uncles that were my age 32 years ago. They were a hell of a lot more mature than people from my generation today. Yeah, and this is what I mean. This is what do you call it? Hold on, I'm closing my shades here. It's getting dark, so okay, leave it like that. So this is in today's fast-paced world, people can't stay together. One big reason is because they're emotionally underdeveloped. Another reason is that the the city life is really demanding and taxing, in such that people need change too often, and this change is not a healthy change. And therefore, you have partners splitting up all the time and finding the stupidest reasons to justify their actions. I know people personally who, in this year alone, 3 relationships I've known from people I know personally have fallen apart, and every one of them for the same reason: selfishness. They do not see the relationship as an extension of themselves, but they started to see the relationship as a burden to themselves. That is selfishness. That is not love. And and then they try to fight back by saying, well, in the past, people stay together for 50, 60 years, and they do that because they're afraid of being alone, and they don't really know each other, and so they get scared, yeah. And after they stay together for the kids, and when the kids grow up, then these two don't know what to do with each other, and they realize they don't really know each other. That's a crutch, yeah. I mean, in some cases that is true, but that has to do with duality. That has nothing to do with the times. That is true in some instances, yeah. But that's because that relationship was unhealthy to begin with. Do you see what I mean? That's not the same thing. When people are there is true that there are people who are together for 60 years and people are like, wow, how'd you do it? And they're like, damn, I don't know. They're not really happy. This is true, but that's because it was not healthy to begin with. They got together because it was expected in their dualistic society, but that was because they were unhealthy to begin with. But when your relationship is healthy to begin with, and then after 10 years, you start to think, oh man, I want to do this and I want to do that, but man, that guy, my husband is 17 years older than me. Shit, man, I'm just 35. I'm young, and I'm like, excuse me. This to me is saying, see, one of the couples I know, this is the discussion they had, and I'm like, this to me is you changed for the worst, I said to the woman. And your poor husband, yeah, he deserves better than you. You have fallen. And, you know, 10 years from now, you're going to be singing, if you're still alive, you're going to be singing that song. You know, you don't know what you got until it's gone. I've already been through that experience in my life. And I'm not going to sing that song again. I've gone through something like that before, where I was the foolish one. I made the mistake. Yeah. So when you're talking about being emotionally healthy, the percentages of relationships that last for years and years and years are really, really high. But when people say that, well, in this day, you know, it's not right that people stay together for long periods of time because people change. There is some truth to that argument, but only in a healthy way. Because some people will use that argument to end a relationship, and it's because they see the relationship as a burden and not as what do we do now? You know, is this the end? You know, it's not even that. They don't have the desire to see it through. They're thinking actually more like men. Do you see what I mean? Unhealthy men, I should say. Where, you know, they need variety or whatever. Yeah. And this is unhealthy. This is a setback. This is a fall. And like I said, for the one couple that I do know, the woman changed for the worst, and that is over. Yeah, that is. And this lady is spiraling down, and she is totally in denial. Totally in denial. And I am starting to think, I'm starting to, I should say, it's starting to dawn on me that I think this woman is taking drugs. Yeah, there's something is telling me there's something wrong. So, you know, and coming up with all these ridiculous things. This is just so unlike her to do this. So to me, it's saying she's fallen. That's a lesson she has to learn. So I'm not going to stand in her way, and that's what I told her husband, or I should say ex-husband. Don't stand in her way. Just let her fall. Yeah, you have to let her fall. That way, you're showing compassion to her. The quicker she falls, the quicker she learns, and the quicker she'll stand back up on her feet again. Just leave her alone. Because if you say anything, you're slowing that fall, and you're slowing down the opportunity for her to stand up again. So just let her fall. Meanwhile, live your life. Yeah, lick your wounds, heal, do what you need to do to heal from this marriage, and then move on. Like attracts like. As long as you have a grudge against your ex, you're not going to have a healthy relationship. You have to come to peace with it, so that when you think of her, there's no emotion, and that takes time. But you can still have a good time while that's happening. Yeah. So, I have to admire Johnny Cash and June Carter, their union. They went through hell. Yeah, they went through it together, and they came back, and they became, you know, quite a couple. When I see them, I smile naturally. Yeah, because I know this couple talks about God and stuff like that, but they know more than that. Yeah, and what June Carter said really hits square in my sacred center. What she said. What did we do right? meaning you take it one step at a time. Take it experience by experience. That means stay in the present moment. Live in the present moment. Do what you have to do by living a healthy life to stay in the present moment. So these things can happen to you. Wonderful things. Blessings. And you will find that person who will be able to brave storms with you. You can be a shoulder for one another. And you love each other so much that you cannot, how do I say this? How do I say this without getting emotional? Hey. you love each other so much that the idea doesn't even come to your mind to separate. That it's not in your emotional vocabulary. That, when you come to that state, in Lakota, we call that Mahasani. And we all have desires, and whether we like it or not, it is a part of being human. There's nothing wrong with it. And so make the best of it, yeah? Make the most of it, make the best of it, whatever situation you're in. And even if you're not with anybody, it doesn't mean it's over, yeah? It just means, excuse me, hang on a second here, I'm moving some papers here. It just means just do what you're doing. I mean, strive for healthy living. Because number one, if you want a relationship, you want to be in a situation where you're like, excuse me, where it's enjoyable. Because I know some relationships will start out that way, but in a short time, it's like, what? You know, it's like this lady or this guy is like, what the heck is he trying to say, or what the heck is he trying to prove? It's like almost like you don't, like they're a different person, yeah, and you don't want that, yeah. The regardless of how beautiful physically that person is, or how well endowed they are, or whatever, it's not worth it to go through that kind of stress, because believe me, you will lose it if you try to stay in there. Yeah. I know this from experience. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm warning you. The quicker you're out of there, the better off you'll be. Oh gosh. She was that bad. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, so it's a wonderful topic. It's and like I said, you know, you want if you want to be in a relationship, really set a healthiest foundation that you can think of. You know, really just try your best, yeah, to have that foundation, because it's gonna make all the difference in the world for you to do that. So, like I said, take into mind, you know, some of the things that I've said, and ultimately, you know, it is your choice. But what I'm saying is coming from Lakota Star Knowledge concepts, and it's yeah, what I'm saying is all, it's for you. Yeah, this is the message from the ancestors to you. This is their gift to you. I'm the deliverer. I'm just delivering it to you. This is their gift to you. Yeah, for They want you to live a healthy life. They want you to live a good life. They want you to have good things in your life. But they also, more importantly, they want you to learn from your difficulties, because that is the greatest blessing in life, to do that. Because when you do that, you truly understand and enjoy what life is. It's like, before you can truly enjoy the goodness of, or I should say, the deliciousness, the taste of water, sometimes we gotta go through some fire. But we can. And then it's going to build us. Yeah? What we learn from those experiences is going to be some of the most solid foundation stones to healthy living. That's why. Yeah? And like I said, you will attract similar people. And this is going to lead to wonderful, wonderful things. So this is my belief.